Welcome to Stories with Dice. This is the Dark Blue Sea, a Mutant Year Zero actual play podcast. If you're enjoying our actual plays, please subscribe to Stories with Dice so you'll never miss an episode. Don't forget to rate and review us. It really helps others discover the podcast. Follow us on social media to stay updated, share your thoughts, and join the conversation. You'll find the relevant links in the description of each episode.
Welcome back to episode 2 of our Mutant Year Zero. Sorry, you'll bear with me. We're sharing some screens and Marco was just giving me the finger. God damn you. Yes, welcome back to the next episode. That's it. I will very briefly introduce you to the players, though. That's always good. So we've got my fellow co-host, Marco.
Hello, I'm Caspian, the unconscious navigator.
We've got Chris.
Hi, I'm Moss, the slightly inept at moving gearhead.
Excellent. Pete.
Yep. Hi, I'm Roach, the thug.
Nice and short and sweet. And Douglas.
I'm playing Cochrane, the surprisingly sure-footed, stabby chronicler.
Somebody's got to do it.
So your librarian is kicking ass. So where we last left off, there was a bright light. Everything kind of went horribly wrong. Chris was seeing a bunch of people wearing blue uniforms throwing the elders off into the boat. And as that was happening, a bright explosion filled the night sky, filling the sky and the seas with this horrendously bright white light. It kind of pushed the boat off. Everyone got thrown about. And that's where we left it last session. But this session, it's 10 days later. Well, how's that for a jump? Unfortunately, Caspian still has a broken nose, and I'm going to let you see a map. Look at that. Hopefully, it should be a very dark map apart from one square. But you can see, as everyone goes, no, I can't see anything. I don't know what you mean, Ed.
Yep,
You've messed up all the thing.
I just need to put my sheet somewhere else.
Okay. And yes, so your vessel has run ashore on this island, or this landmass, whatever it might be. Your ship is a bit of a sorry state. It now looks like this.
Cool. Very cool.
It's crashed against the shore. The nose of the ship has broken off. There are cracks. There is all sorts of things. For those that can remember it, the ship was in this large storm that lasted for days. And the next thing you knew, the ship had ground ashore. It's taken you all a few days to kind of get right. There is only one elder left, and she is currently not in a good way. Probably, according to the lawkeepers and Anowin's gang, probably has no more than 2 or 3 days left, which is all the knowledge that you have of the past gone. Rhett's gang has managed to secure the ship and has managed to at least make it stable. It's not seaworthy at the moment. Of all the tenders, only one is now actually usable. The mechanics and Elson's gang have kind of tried to sort of study the loss, figure out what they can get, what the water source could be, how that will work. It still seems to be working to a degree, but it definitely looks like it could probably fail within probably weeks. Things are not looking good for the ship. Who wants to be brave and roll me 3d6 to determine how many of your 205 souls were lost during the storm and the capture of the elders?
Here we go.
Pete's like, yeah, I can do that. Let's kill 6 people. Hooray! You are now down to 199 souls. But seeing as this is the beginning of the first session, would somebody else like to roll me a d6 to see how many other souls?
Beginning of the
we
second
lose?
session.
Beginning of the second session, sorry. Yeah, if you could roll a d6 for me. Someone. And this is the number of souls that...
Anyone?
Yeah, anyone? Marco, why don't you do it?
1d6?
1d6, please. That's another 4. You're down to 194 souls in the ark.
Still too many mouths to feed. We need to kill more.
Amazing. So if I take you back to the map of the area that you're in, you've managed to explore the area within the last 10 days, what it looks like. And so your area itself is surprisingly free of rot. It's going to be helpful for you, Marco. So There's no rot. There doesn't appear to be any kind of threats kicking around. There are sort of like, you managed to land on what looks like probably was some kind of bay, and somehow you've managed to crash into some ruins which you found around. Somewhere just sort of like further on, there's a grand building that rises from the ruins. All the windows seem to be broken decades and decades ago. There's loads of dust and dirt that seems to have kind of gone into the building. It looks like at some point before the fall, it probably held multiple food and drinks and various other things from the iconography you can see, because most of you can't read. And they show these sort of like prongs and little weird pictures of people on doors, all this kind of thing. It looks like this is a sort of place that has long since gone to ruin. You haven't been able to find any food or any water or anything like that that's in your bit of area that you have. Off to the side, further to the north, you can make out a small island. You've not been able to get to the small island yet, and then the sea just continues off. Yeah. And that's what you have. So we're going to just jump from all of your characters to decisions with the ark or the ship. So taking into effect the bosses that we have, you, if you want to, can make a decision. What would you like to do? What would you like the ark to do? I'm going to take the initial decision that the three bosses decided first thing they need to do is to make sure the ship is fine, everyone is accounted for, and that all the utility systems that were around are still working. So water is fine. There is enough grub to keep you all going for a short while. How much is dependent on who's controlling the grub, I suppose. But at least at the present moment, you've got enough storage to last for a while, maybe a couple of weeks at most. And you reckon you could probably fish in the waters. And if you were to explore the island some more, you could probably find other sources of food, perhaps. Yeah, it's definitely probably the biggest island or land mass that you've seen in a long while. What would you like to do as a group, or what would you like the ark to do in regards to potentially starting a project, potentially doing something else? If you want to ask the bosses what they will do, I can happily give you their voice and you can kind of make a decision about what you think you would like to do.
Caspian thinks that we should organize people into expeditions to go into the zone and find food. So hunting parties.
I fully concur. I mean, I guess it's good that we still have the boat, and it's going to give us somewhere to live, at least in the, for the near future. But if just right now, I don't see how we're ever going to get seaworthy again, and if we can't go out fish and all that, like that's not going to be tenable for our long-term future. So we better see what's out there, and as we go exploring and hunting, we might just find something better.
Well, given we just went through, probably aim to improve our defences.
Okay.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's on 104, Ed, if you want to know.
Yeah. So I've got that. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. Yeah. Increasing the defenses. We've got hunting parties. Douglas, anything you might want to add?
No, I probably side with what Pete's saying. Like, the ship is very vulnerable for the first time ever because it is not moving at all. And, some people like Cochrane have probably never seen land before.
You might
like, seen it at a distance, and now it's like, people could just, like, walk up to our boat. And we can't do anything about that.
This is true. This is a very odd thing to do. Okay? But it's fine.
I mean, it's nice and big, but this isn't actually good housing, I presume. Like, I presume that, it's probably sort of, set at an angle and really uncomfortable now that it's big.
No, I mean, the cruise ship itself is big enough so that actually, yeah, it is now not going anywhere. It's definitely not seaworthy. But where it's beached, it's perfectly fine. You could sort of like, if you wanted to shore up it, you could probably do that. And that's, I would say, has already been done in sort of like the intervening period, just to make sure that it's not going anywhere. So in effect, the ark that you had before was obviously a traveling ark. Now you don't have a traveling ark. Now it's well and truly fixed in this one point. And definitely, if you were to try and travel anywhere else with 194 of you, it's going to be very difficult because you have one boat that is probably serviceable that could probably hold 5 to 6 people. PC's amount of people that can stay in the boat. It's like,
Funny how that works.
for a handy plotline. Okay, so we've got 2 things. We've got the hunting party and the defenses. They're the 2 options that you've all put, and the bosses are more than happy with both. You can pick one or the other. They cost a certain number of points equal to, so for the hunting party, it's 1 times the number of PCs. So there's 4 of you. So it's going to require 4 work points, which means you have to make some rolls and you need 4 successes. If it's defenses, it's twice that number. And so that would require 8 successes. Now you can work towards this, and I'm more than happy in the intervening period that you can do that. It requires specific things. So everything requires a certain amount of food, a certain amount of culture, technology and warfare. Both of these require nothing because it's the basis of everything. But it does give you points. So if you go and set out hunting parties, it will increase your food supply by 2d6 if it succeeds. And obviously the same thing with defenses increases your warfare by the same amount. But if anyone actually wants to work on any of these things, you are more than feel free to do that. For those that you need to pick one as a group. So is it defenses or is it hunting party?
So you had mentioned the state of our food supply. Can you repeat what that is?
So you've probably got a couple of weeks worth of food that 194 of you will be able to ration out before you have to then start really kind of
going to cannibalism.
Yeah. Which is an option if you wish.
It is an option, yes.
It's an option.
Okay, so maybe the more pressing concern, maybe Roach is correct. The most pressing concern right now is defenses, because we can go for a couple of more weeks with the food that we have. We probably can't handle getting attacked by somebody. And who knows where those people are who attacked us. So that would be my vote. Everyone, everyone feel free to disagree.
Everyone happy with that?
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. Land people are scary.
They are scary. So if anyone wants to help with this, otherwise it'll just tick over. You can make a force or a scout roll. And we're looking for defenses, we want 8 successes. So it could be all done now, or it could be next session. Feel free. If anyone wants to help out, you get a freebie. So you're going to stay in the ship, and you're going to basically work to do that. So if you want to do that, you can make a roll now for any of your characters to do that.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah, I'll help as well.
So it's a force roll or a scout roll, whichever you prefer. And you cannot push these rolls.
Has any healing happened in the...
Yes, so you're all healed and everything's fine. I've already kind of done that for you. Apart from poor old Marco's nose.
I have 1 success.
Okay.
I have 1 too.
Chris has got 1. Yep.
And Douglas had no successes.
Okay. Pete?
What we rolling endure or shoot? So I'll go for endure.
Force or scout, whichever skill you prefer. I imagine you'll want to use force. So you've got 3 successes. So you're almost halfway there. And I'm going to give you 1 success just from everybody helping you out. So I'm just going to make a note here that you've had 3 successes. Okay. So when those 3 successes, so it's going to be a whole session till that might get completed next session. But it does mean that for this session, what would you like to do? You mentioned hunting parties, and while the decision by the whole arc is decided to sort of shore up the defenses, the bosses are more than happy for you to go and explore. And in fact, they're more than happy for you to do that because who knows what you might find. One of you, after all, is a navigator. How you navigate on land is up to you. But yeah, what would you like to do this session? I asked the players.
So we only have 1 elder left, and
you only have 1 elder,
and they're very sick.
They are very sick. They are currently in the care of Anwin's gang.
Okay.
As the chroniclers and lore keepers.
Was this the one that we saw like bleed out on the deck when we were running around?
No, this is a completely different one. So what happened is once everyone kind of got together in front of it turns out there was only one left. The rest, it appears these other people in these uniforms took the rest. No one knows why or how, and you've seen it firsthand. Chris's character obviously saw that. But you've never come across these people before. You don't know why they were doing that. So whatever happened, it happened during this. And now you're down to 1. And it's likely in the next few days that elder is going to die. And with that, all of the history and all the secrets of technology will go. and it will just be down to you as the people to make your way in the world. Currently, the law keepers are taking down everything that the elder is telling them in her sort of last few hallucinated days of pain and suffering, but they are keeping that very close to their chests, and they're not allowing other people to go to the elder, which has kind of ruffled Rhett and Elston's gangs, who were obviously in a bit of a quandary, because before, obviously the mechanics could basically down tools and the ship would stop running. Rhett's crew would turn around and say, we're not going to navigate any further. So it shifted the balance between those two to being the law keepers being in charge. The law keepers are a smaller gang than the others. So for them to hold all the power, it's quite a meaningful sort of like power play. But it hasn't really affected the day-to-day living currently in the Ark at all. But it might do in the future.
Okay. So there's some people have gone a little bit out from the boat, but not too far. Is there anything particularly like landmarkish in visual range that we can see? Like you said, not just buildings and stuff.
Yeah, so that's what I was saying there. So the thing that marks out anything on this map is towards the southeastern side is this large building. That's the closest you've kind of got as a landmark. But the land itself is relatively flat. It's slightly raised in parts, but mostly flat. And it looks like there used to be a lot of roads, or what used to be roads, perhaps, which kind of lead to various things. And definitely, if you were to follow these, how you kind of like came across it. You followed one of these well-paved like paths that were quite large, and it took you to this large building that had lots of windows in, and clearly had a lot of things going on in it. And so, to a degree, make a comprehend roll. If you have comprehend rolls.
I do not, but I will have. Can I just do a pure...
If you don't have comprehend, you cannot make the roll.
No, I cannot do anything.
So if anyone's got comprehend, they may make the roll. Pete, did you roll?
No.
No, who was that? That was me.
It was Chris.
Yeah. So Chris rolled, but she's not for some reason
I think something screwy is going on then, because she can hear us, obviously.
So for the folks at home, one of our players, Chris, our new player, looks like there's some technical difficulties happening. She's not in the recording studio, but she is apparently in Foundry.
She can still hear and see us. Well, that's really weird.
Well, I'm assuming so, because she made that roll, and we had just talked about comprehend being the only person can make that roll. So that's why I'm like...
It's a good question. Should she restart Riverside?
Right.
Because do we have like a...
There's no pause button. There's no pause button. I would have to just stop the recording and start a whole new session.
He must have been
There she is.
Comprehend.
There she is. Okay,
well,
so we have Moss back in our studio for the folks at home.
Hey, welcome back. Okay, so we had people that rolled. So I think it was just you, Chris, who has comprehend. What we were trying to comprehend before we got completely just
roads or buildings, I think it was.
Yes. So yes, the from the things that you have either read in books or not read, but have been explained to you by the elders in the past, that there were places where people went to go and purchase things. And they were these big things on the side of these large throughways where old vehicles used to travel. And people would used to turn off of those, and they would stop and spend like a whole day in these large buildings where they would eat. They would basically purchase things. There was vast amounts of food. There was vast amounts of gear and tech and various other things. And that's what this building was. You tell that it used to be called a mall.
I mean, it probably was looted a million times over already, but I think there was so much stuff in there, it might still be worth having a go.
So I suppose to start, you can have a wander out. It's a relatively safe zone. You can go for a bit of a wander.
Actually, there's one thing I was wondering about.
Yep.
Those guys in the blue uniforms, did we manage to capture one of them, or maybe even search one of the ones we killed, or were they all washed overboard before we could give them a closer look?
No, they were all gone. There was no one left for you to capture or look at. I think, there was nothing for you to take.
Same. Their uniforms looked so neat.
Yeah, I think I had the choice between catching Caspian and the revolver that was dropped. So Yeah, I thought I'd better go for Caspian.
I just threw them over the edge anyway.
Come on, none of them had the basic courtesy to wash up in our holds.
Afraid not.
Uh,
How dare they?
I hate them even more now.
Yeah, if you want to go exploring, you can indeed do that. So you guys can, as a group, have a wander around the area and look around. I guess this is a good time to explain how you explore the zones in and around you. First of all, what you need, instead of blindly wandering through zones, what you need is a navigator who can help you figure out where you're going to go and what you're going to do. Now, if only there was some such type of person in this group.
Who could it be? Who could it be?
Who could it be?
Who could it
Sir.
be now?
Well,
So
as I
lucky
said,
we've got a navigator.
we do. To do that, you need to roll to know the zone. So find the path is what you need. What this will allow you to do will allow you to not only find out where you need to go, but it will also allow you, had you got any more extra successes, to look for things. Maybe you spot artifacts. Perhaps maybe you find a good place where there's water, there's food.
3 successes.
Excellent. So first of all,
And 3 biohazard symbols. What do those mean?
that's 3 failures. You wouldn't want to push this roll. So
Okay.
that would damage your agility by 3, which probably is bad, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Chronicler is going to basically explain to you how to basically look through rubble and what to look for and how to find it, which you already know. But it does give you 2 extra successes. So you've got 5 successes on your roll, which is crazy amounts. So with your ability,
My question for you, Ed, is: do you want me to use the navigate skill in the Deep Blue Sea Zone Compendium, or because we're on land, do you want me to use the
because you're on land, find the path for me.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay.
So 1 success allows you to, find a safe path and spot any threats from the zones before they spot you, which is great. So you don't find any threats, so that's all good. But you do get 4 other successes, so you can pick. Of those lists, what would you like to know, sir?
Okay, so we got artifact, assess the rot, D6 bullets, D6 rations, water, halving the time of exploration, rush through, which will avoid all threats, but we don't actually explore anything.
Yeah, so when you explore a zone, it takes about 6 hours for you to kind of go through the thing. So it takes a while to go through. That means you can go through it a lot quicker, so you can rush through it. Obviously, this is fine when you're in the same zone as your arc. Because the further away you go, obviously, the more time it takes to get there, which means you might have to spend evenings out in the zone. For example,
And you said I have 4.
you've got 4 extra successes.
Okay, so I want to find an artifact in the sector.
Yep.
If it's there to be found, I definitely want to find D6 bullets.
Okay. Why don't you roll me D6 bullets for me, please? That's how many bullets you find.
Bullets.
Congratulations, you find 2 bullets in your wandering around. Now, it's obviously you stop and look in one place. As you're searching the zone, you're kind of looking around and you find 2 bullets.
And that's great because I used 2 bullets in that fight, so
that's helpful.
karma. 2 left.
We'll get back to the artifact in a second.
2 left. Let's see.
Do we want to know, the general level of rot in our home area?
Yes, we do.
The general level is there is no rot here at all. It is an oasis. You will not take any rot for as long as you want to be. It's completely rot-free for the moment.
Let's find some rot-free water.
Okay. So because this is in you won't have to make a roll for this. What you do find is a source of rot-free water that the Ark could use.
Oh, excellent.
So as you explore, what you do find is there was some kind of old building. That old building probably had something above it, but that has all since gone. But you do find essentially a large tap which has access to an underwater water source.
So cool.
It does mean that there is probably about an hour's trek between the Ark and the location, but essentially you now have access to fresh running water for as long as that water source lasts. But you obviously have no idea how long that will be. But for the moment, you have an extra source of water should your filtration system kick breaks or something.
Excellent. Water is important. It helps the meat go down when you're cannibalizing your people.
Not quite there yet.
I was about to make a roll privately. Well, that can't happen, can it?
Yeah.
Artifacts. It was the other thing that you were after, right? Should we get some artifacts for you? Would you like some?
That's a lot of rolling.
Ed is rolling a lot of dice that we can hear, but we cannot see the results of, and he knows that it's driving me insane.
Well, as you make your way through this very large, broken down building, you're kind of like sticking your nose into sort of like crevices and looking around, and you're just trying to sort of like find things. It takes quite a bit of time. Which one of you? Let me, because I know Marco hates it. Let me roll a dice. So, Cochrane, you're basically sort of like rummaging around in one of these places, and you find this book. It seems to have, it's quite a thick book, and there's a lot of pictures in it, but you can read it. As you're sort of looking at it, you can see the book is roll me a d.
But roll it privately so he can't see it.
Do you want me to go physically go get my dice and then I can just roll it on my desk?
Yeah, go for it.
Like he rolled a 7. Lucky number 7. Ed is typing.
It is typing. Okay. That's interesting. Yeah. So you sort of like rummage around, you kind of like find this large tome of a book. There's loads of pictures in the book. It's got the name of some odd company, which is kind of like smudged and all the kind of wording is sort of written out. But it seems to say something in what's electrical engineering something. When you flick through the book, it has a lot of diagrams as well as pictures of various electrical connections. There's essentially is an electrician's guide on how to fix electrical systems. This will allow you to get a dev bonus when you bring it back to the art, to your technology skill.
So what you're saying is it's a really boring book that Cochrane does not know anything about. Look, they misspelled what on it? A-A-W-A-T-T, W-H.
Exactly. That's exactly it. But it does mean that it can add to your
The pictures aren't even of things interesting. It's of things I see down in the engineering deck.
Yeah.
I wanted to go see a picture of an engine. I'd just go down and hang out with moths.
But you continue to sort of like wander along Caspian. You kind of like pick your way through one of these darkened rooms that all the ceiling seems to have collapsed in, and you're sort of like picking your way through. And you come across a box with a strap on it.
Box with a strap on it.
Like a weird, shiny, weird material box with a strap on.
Is the box locked?
It is not. It's like a little simple pop mechanism.
I will open it, the box.
You open it. There are 2 cylinders that are connected to each other with glass on either side of the cylinder. If anyone wants to make a comprehend roll, I think that's only Moss that can do that.
I'm certainly curious enough to have a look at it.
There's also another strap on both these cylinders which are connected.
Oh, I have an idea. Let me have a look.
Okay. What do you think it is?
Moss, what is this thing?
Chris, what do you reckon it is?
I have no idea.
Okay.
Glass cylinder does honestly.
Yeah. So glass on either side of each of these cylinders. There's a strap that connects both the cylinders together. The cylinders are both joined together. They fit into this box just right. And you realize that the glass cylinders, there's little caps on each of the little glass cylinders. When you look through the glass from one side to another, it makes the detail further away look like it's closer.
Oh.
Congratulations. You found some binoculars.
Oh my goodness, this is amazing. Yeah, that is totally, I did not get that from glass cylinders.
Nicely
done. So
done.
useful. Now, if only we still had a boat.
Nicely
If
done. I
only we were
remember,
still seafaring, I mean to say.
I remember being a kid playing Gamma World and having a lot of fun doing exactly that.
It's fun, isn't it?
Coming up with ways to describe everyday, ordinary objects and having the players go, "What is that?
What? You could give this in to the Lore Masters, and it again would also add a D6 to the technology. Or alternatively, you can keep it. If you were to keep it, it gives you a +3 to scout and find the path skills.
It gives a +2 to scout and does what?
+3 to scout and find the path skill.
Ooh.
Oh, that is going to be so cool. You need to hang on to that.
Yes, I think I will hang on to that.
I guess you're going to keep it. So I'm just going to throw that in the... well,
I'm not going to tell the bosses. You keep it.
yeah, you can put it in your character sheet.
They're getting the boring book, so...
Yeah, you've got the
Exactly.
boring book. So, next.
We'll temporarily hold on to it until we get back to the boat, and then
Okay.
I will fob off on someone who cares about that sort of thing.
Caspian, let me throw you the binoculars. Should appear in your gear now.
Yep.
There you go.
Thank you, sir.
Not a problem. Right. So that leaves 2 of you left to find stuff. Okay, Chris. 1, 2, or 3. Pick a number for me.
3.
Okay. Well, as you're picking your way through this very large thing, you come across another of these rooms that sort of had a lot of stuff in. A lot of it seems to have perished and broken, but you kind of come across this large cylinder that's got different colors on. And the cylinder is quite big. It's probably about almost the size of half your leg and probably as wide as your thigh. It's got some weird like knobbles and stuff on the top. And there's some weird sort of tubes and stuff that run from those knobbles. Another weird metal kind of bit. And along with that, it appears that there's also some weird feet like frog's legs, like frog's feet that have all kind of like connected with that. And as you kind of like move that around, you also see what looks like a mask or a pair of glasses.
Oh,
You
there's
can
like diving equipment or something.
Yeah, you've seen it before. You've seen it on the ship. It is indeed some diving gear. It will give you a bonus of +3 to your move skill underwater. It also protects you against gases if you should have them. Feel free if you would like to have that, you can do. But you could also take it back to the Ark, and if you were to hand it in, it would eventually give you a development bonus of +D6 to your technology. What would you like to do with that item?
I'm thinking just right now, it would be really good if we could, explore the area around where we've been. Maybe there's something great underneath the ship and we, can't see it.
Sure. Which then leaves Roach. As you're looking around, you too also find something. This has clearly never been, well, if it has been looted, these have obviously all been missed. You find something sort of like in a box. There's sort of like a metal box that's only partially open. It looks like it probably had a key in at some point, but the key had broken off. So inside the box, you can see a revolver, an honest to goodness revolver from the past times, not a scrap pistol, but a revolver. There's also some kind of large metal egg in there with a handle on.
Hey, anybody know what this is? I'll hold up the large metal egg. With no idea that it might explode any moment.
Chris, if you want to make a comprehend roll, but I would like to take away 3 dice.
Okay.
Ooh.
Let's see.
I think you can do it in the game.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, look at you knowing everything that's going on.
Oh, I'm so smart.
Clearly, Moss spent a lot of time with the elders. It's called the hand grenade, and it explodes when you pull the handle or something like that. You'd seen it in a couple of things that they were talking about, but you're not really massively au fait on how it properly works.
Yes, maybe don't drop
But
the
it's some
thing.
kind of
I hear they're
explosive.
dangerous.
So it's a good day's searching, it appears. And I assume, Roach, you're happy to keep those things.
Well, yeah, I'm not quite sure what I'll do with the explosive thing, not knowing exactly how it works. So I might hand that off to someone else with more technical abilities.
Okay, I'll put it on your character sheet anyway. Right. So I think that's all the stuff that you found, Marco.
Yes, correct.
But yeah, you explore the area quite fully throughout the whole day, and you can't see there's any kind of threats. You don't see that there's anyone's been here. As you kind of sort of make your way towards the sort of like northeastern side of the zone, as you kind of make your way around, you come across sort of a group of 4 shallow graves, each grave marked with some scratch in a sort of like cross shape, and there's a bunch of scratchings and stuff on the thing. But
Is it in a language that we understand?
no,
Well, what do you suppose those are?
Not even Cochrane. I thought
Well,
all those letters you knew them.
no. Well, I don't even know. It looks like something's buried here.
Does it look like it's a fresh grave?
no, it looks like it's been
Yeah.
here for a very long time.
Can't
There's sort of like
even comprehend.
stones on top of it.
On the boat, we don't bury people. We throw them overboard. So why would you bury people? So this is why he can't really comprehend like what this is.
I like that.
Or we eat them.
You don't bury people; you commit them back to the sea. You
We
do like the
throw
burial.
them overboard, or we eat them. It depends on how sick they are.
I'm feeling that that Caspian is definitely on the cannibalism sort of like spectrum.
Hey,
So it looks-
if I'm hungry and we don't have any food, you with the food.
Yeah, you do a full circuit, and it appears this zone is rot-free. You have some running water. You probably looted it for as much of the artifacts as you can find. This seems like a very safe zone to be in. And indeed it is. It's your arc zone. It is now fully explored, but there is a zone to the south. There's a zone to the west and a zone to the east. Oh, and north, but you need to probably take a boat to go there.
Right. Are you saying that we can press on into an
Absolutely. So
okay.
I'm more than happy for that. Can sort of like be the thing that you did, when you kind of like got here, you made decisions, you kind of like explored. So absolutely, if you want to press on for this session as a specific session to any one of the other zones, you may do. Which way would you like to go, sir?
I think we should go south.
Directly south? We can do it. So for anyone who's listening to this podcast, because you're not watching it, that's for sure. There's a large map which we'll share as this kind of gets published with the map of the zones. I think probably we'll do that as we do them each session. And so there are hex marks across the map. Each one's got a box. So each box is roughly 10 kilometers by 10 kilometers. And each time they go into a new zone, players will figure out what's there. So at the moment, it's just here be dragons, as it were. It's all dark on their map, and they don't know what's going on there. But we're going to go to the next one. So south, you say. South. So with your newfound binoculars, you get a +3. Indeed.
Now, how do I use the binoculars on the die roll?
So if you just add +3 to your gear.
To get to the gear. Yep. Okay. Got
Yeah.
it. With all that rolling, all that dice rolling got me absolutely nothing, no successes, and one explosion symbol, which I think means if I push the roll, the binoculars break.
Correct. If it's a black dice, then yes. So if you were to push this roll, it gives you a bonus of 3. So if one of those would break, which means it would then give you a bonus of 2. If it was to break again.
All right. Well, I'm going to push this.
Okay. It's fine. Well, there we go.
One success.
Got one success. You've broken the binoculars a little bit. You've also the gear. What's the gear? The attribute that you used is also damaged.
Right.
Which hopefully should automatically do that for you.
It did.
It has.
I don't know if it did for the gear. Let me check.
No, probably because it wasn't linked. So
yeah, no, it hasn't done it for the gear.
That's okay. I'm going to change it on thing. So now it only gives you a +2 to it. Okay. But yeah, you succeed. What do you find in the next half? So firstly, as you make your way south towards into the zone, again, as you make your way from just behind the large building in the previous zone, you kind of make your way into what looks like woodland or sort of like trees that have long died. Big sort of like twigs in the ground is the best way to probably describe them. You probably had seen sort of like trees, perhaps in sort of like in some of the islands you've been to, but they're very kind of small, very kind of curated little trees and forests. This is a lot bigger than that. And it takes up the majority of the zone. You can see what looks like buildings kind of scattered around in the trees. They look like small cabins, probably the best way to describe them. I think it's safe to say that a lot of the area itself is covered in this fine, thin sort of like webbing. You know the zone.
Yes, I do.
A giant spider attack.
I have 1 in know the zone. Would you like me to roll it?
Oh, yes, please. And it's just a straight roll. One success, sir?
1 success.
Okay. So you've heard of these things. They're called zone spiders. Large, mutated spiders that have grown to absurd sizes. They live underground in decaying old tunnels and roofs, and they feed on pretty much anything they can get their hands. And it's the first sign that there is something amiss with the area around. What would you like to do?
I don't like spiders, especially giant mutated spiders.
Mm-hmm. You could push deeper into the zone if you wanted to, but it seems to sort of crisscross all the trees.
Yeah, if I no, let's turn around. This area is not safe. It looks like some giant spider webbing that we should avoid. We should tell everyone at the Ark to avoid this area. This is a no-go zone for us, unless the Roach wants to proceed, and then the Roach is on his own.
Maybe we can eat the giant spiders now that we can't go fishing that easily anymore.
Do I know if they're edible? If they're edible?
No, but I mean,
how giant are they?
Probably dog-sized.
Dog-sized spiders. I don't even like dog-sized dogs.
I mean, you could try and...
I prefer cats. How many of these spiders are there?
You have no idea.
We have no
Quite
idea.
a lot.
So
it seems to cover the forest in front of you. Anyway.
Yeah. No, we should back. We don't even know how many there are. We could be overwhelmed. We should avoid the area and make a note of it so that people from the Ark avoid it.
That's you kind of take a look at this large setting of spider webs and decide it's time to turn back to maybe find a different place to help you. And you turn back. The first day of actually exploring the island, and you turn around and make your way back to your Ark as the sun starts to set behind you through the haze of sort of like all the spider webs as you make your way past the large building and back to the relative safety of your Ark. I think we'll call it there for this evening. See, as last session was, oh my God, what's going to happen? This is, we'll just happen to go back and ease into it. How about we give you some XP so people understand how the XP works in this game?
Excellent.
Always good. It's nice to always end with experience, isn't it? So, did you participate in the session? I think you all did. Yes, so we'll give you 1 XP for that. Did you perform a day's work on a project in the Ark? Yes, you all did. You could have an XP for that.
Excellent.
Did you explore at least one new sector of the zone? Indeed, you did.
Yay!
1 XP for that. Now, we haven't quite done this yet, but on your characters, there is ways that you kind of work with the other players. So you're asked in your actual character sheets to pick one of the other player characters as a buddy. Now, I don't know whether you've truly figured out who you might want to be as your buddy, but feel free to figure out who your buddy is.
So Caspian, because his dream is to venture deep into the zone and find this place called Eden, he really holds in high esteem the lore keepers and chroniclers, people who, maintain the knowledge of the past and the knowledge of the people of the Ark. I have chosen Cochrane as a buddy.
Okay, cool.
And I wrote in our relationship that he sailed with me once in the zone and lived. So that's cool. That's the extent of our relationship.
Didn't eat me by the sounds of it.
I did not eat him. No.
There were 4 others that went out that day and no one else returned.
Yeah.
Suspicious. Okay, that makes sense. And then so in those relationships, there's also other PCs. So feel free as you kind of like do that to figure out what they might be. I have no problem. You can do that as we continue the game.
Yeah,
I haven't
really figured it all out yet.
Yeah, that's cool. That's fine. So the next question asks, did you sacrifice or risk something for your PC buddy? So if you go out of your way to kind of like put yourself in harm's way or risk something serious, then that gives you extra experience, which none of you have done at the moment. So that's fine. So figure out what you want to do. You might want to pick another buddy. So you don't have to be the same buddy as the other person. So you don't have to share the buddiness. It might be that, Caspian loves Cochrane, but Cochrane doesn't stand him and is actually friends with, Roach, whatever it might be. So figure out what that would be. And I guess next session, maybe we'll flesh that out a little bit more. That might make more sense. So did you sacrifice or risk something for the NPC you want to keep safe? So as part of that, we'll use someone else unless they've done it. So I'll tell you what we'll use you, Douglas.
Okay.
Maybe not you because you haven't done it.
Well, I have no one to protect at the moment. So yes.
Yeah. So you've got 3 things that are asked of you for NPCs. I hate, pick an NPC of your choice. I need to protect, pick an NPC of your choice. And my big dream, which is the thing you would like to do. So obviously we already know what Caspian is. So think about that as well. So if if you do something to risk something for the NPC that you want to keep safe, you get an extra XP, but none of you have got that. Did you sacrifice or risk something to mess with the NPC that you hate? So did you sort of like, throw a wrench in the works that they're doing? So if it's a boss or something like that, that gives you XP. And then did you sacrifice or risk something to reach your big dream? Have you really kind of done? So that's all the sorts of things that kind of give you the experience points. Spending experience points is pretty straightforward. Once you've collected 5 XP, which I think you might have done by now.
Yeah, I had 6.
Yep, cool. You can spend 5 XP and you can raise a skill of your choice by 1 level, or you can learn a new talent. You can raise any basic skill you like, even if you've never had a level in it to begin with, but not a specialist skill from another role. So you can't ever learn. So Marco, you can never learn the Enforcer's thing. You can't learn the Chronicler's thing. You can only ever know your one.
What page is this on?
This is on page 25 of the main rulebook, if anyone wants to know. So once you've done that, you can also get a general talents. There's general talents in the VTT, or there's talents from your actual role that you have. So as a chronicler, you might have picked one. You might want to pick a different one as well. So you'd have 2 talents. Or you can pick the general, which is kind of like, are you quicker? Are you faster? Have you done something? Think about what the talent is. And as long as in the rules, the way it says, you can pretty much pick everything. Come up with a very good reason story-wise for that, and I'm sure it's fine. If we never had any combat whatsoever, and all of a sudden, I don't know, if Douglas, you were like, yeah, I want to learn how to fire an assault rifle, so I'm going to take, shoot. But you've never actually had that option to do that, so the answer to hell is no. But, for example, if you didn't have fight, but you've already done something like we had in the previous session, 100%, or move, or whatever it might be that got, feel free to do that for a skill, and the same thing for a talent. So it's a really basic system because, again, it was the first Year Zero engine. This is very similar to, I think, Coriolis does it as well, like the older version, and a couple of the others. Straightforward XP, spend it, get the thing you want, keeps it less straightforward. And then the other thing you do is develop your art. So the things that I gave you today, so for artifacts, if you want to, but at the end of the session, hand it in, essentially. So I'm not sure whether or not you would like to do that, Douglas, because you don't particularly want the book.
Yeah, I will hand in my book to someone who seems interested by the book.
In that case, can you roll me a D6, please? It's a 6. 6.
Yeah.
In which case, your technology goes up by 6 points. So it was on 3.
Oh,
that's now on 6. That's now on to 9. That's pretty good. So that's pretty good. Does anyone else want to hand anything in?
I spent 5 XP and put 1 in scout skill.
Cool. It doesn't take long to spend your XP in this game. Anyone else have any thoughts before we go?
I was going to say, would handing my grenade over do any good?
Let's have
or does that just be...
Blow a hole in the side of the ship.
Hold this.
What another hole?
It will do. It will add +1 to the technology and +1 to warfare.
Nice.
Oh, right. Yeah, I'll hand that in. Because, yeah, I had it explained to me the kind of thing it does, and I just can't visualize it really.
Yeah.
So.
There we go. Your technology is hit the next level at 10, and your warfare has gone to 4. Okay, which means I think you can start accessing other things that you can make or build or do things with next time we look at the art. But I think that seems like a very good place to end this episode. Thanks for listening along. And I'm sure we'll edit out some of the weird kind of hiccups that we've had. Or maybe leave it in, because that's quite fun to listen to us go, oh my God, panic, what do we do? Quick, push buttons, help. Quick, type. Chris, are you there? What's happening? I don't understand. But yeah, so thank you very much for listening along. And as always, thank you very much, all of you, for joining in. And we'll see you next session.